They had to remove a bunion, and I would be surprised at how little pain I had through the whole thing. You would think
Hmm.
if you had screws and plates put in your foot to fuse your big toe joints together, you think you'd be screaming bloody murder all the way down the line, but I was surprised, not really, no.
That's good. So you've not went through a lot of pain. Of course, obviously you got some medication to help you get through that too. Um,
Yeah.
and the thing is, this is what gets on my nerves about it. People think, okay, I'm gonna get surgery and I got to take them stupid narcotics. Now I'm gonna get addicted. Folks, if you follow what the doctor says and you follow what the bottle says, the chances of getting addicted is a lot less. It's when you just start doing it, even when you're not hurting. Oh, I got to take a pill. Not hurting. No, I'm still going to take a pill. So I'm glad that you're getting through it. I'm glad that you got medication to help you get through that. I'm sure that does help out a lot. I remember when I
Yeah,
had.
I'm past the whole narcotic part. The main thing that I'm doing now is like 800 Motrin 3 times a day.
Yeah, because
And
Motrin's for the inflammation. Hmm.
yeah, it's take down it's a little bit of painkiller because it's got some
Yeah,
uh
but it's not a narcotic. you
it
know.
yeah, no.
Um, but even with you taking a narcotic, it's okay to take narcotic. And people go overboard with that word because there's so many people out there who abuse it. But me personally, I don't even like taking narcotics. But when you're in that kind of pain, you got to. You know what I mean? Like, I went through mouth surgery a few years back, and I swore to everything. I will not take a narcotic. I'm not taking no pain medicine. Doctor said, well, I'll tell you what. We're going to give you the medicine just in case. If you don't want to take it, fine. Do your Motrin just like you're doing. People, I took the narcotics because sometimes you got to. You just, your body can only handle so much pain. And, but,
Yep.
so, I'm glad you're doing better, Andy. I'm glad you're recovering. I know you're still on restrictions, obviously.
Yep.
Um, and I know I sent an email, Sarah, if you end up listening, I sent an email saying, hey, TFM works, blah, blah, blah. I didn't realize it was an announcement that Andy had made. So that was my mistake. I mean, I didn't say nothing bad anyways. I don't know if you saw well, you probably saw the message that I sent back to
Yeah. Yeah.
it wasn't nothing bad. I just didn't realize that it was about the source build. I'm like, wait, why is she trying to load TFM without the sim? But anyway, so anyways, here we are. Andy's recovering and he's not programming back to full power, you guys. He's not.
Mm-mm.
So, Andy, what can you tell us about that? What is your plans as far as where you're at and kind of what you're doing and what
And
what you got planned?
so at this point, I'm up on my feet doing things. Um, it's lightweight things. Other than going to the doctor, doing things outside is this hard limit, no questions asked, don't do it.
Hmm.
Um, I can do things like feed the dog or
I hope
load the
so, or your
dishwasher.
dog's in trouble.
Yeah, well, feed, that type of thing. But I can't do an 8-hour workday, a 4-hour workday, not even a 2-hour. So doctor said is do what you can handle. Uh, Try not to go over 2 hours at a time before you take a break and do something else or put your foot up. And in the event that you can put your foot up and do your work all day, then fine. So I kind of alternate between doing lightweight housework, just hanging out on the couch watching TV, and doing
Sure,
some
sure.
TFM stuff here and again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you might see some things like here and there come through GitHub, but it's not going to be any
Right. Right.
panels a day or whatever.
You know, I remember a long time ago. I would say I would say severe. I was in a severe car accident, and um, the wreck itself was severe, but it wasn't as severe with what came back as far as what happened to me. I was hurt. It could have been way worse. Well, I had to have a surgery, and I'm just going to tell you, there's certain things that you've got to treat it with 100% as far as following what the doctors say. Basically, what
Yep.
happened to me was, and I was very, very lucky. I was very fortunate, but I shattered my ankle. Basically, the right side of my ankle was completely disconnected from the left part of my ankle, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got a main joint that goes from one side of your ankle through your leg to the other side. And it's the healing process is what gets you through it. And if you follow what you're supposed to do, I remember you saying how your swelling was gone very quickly. See, I went through something similar with that. Went through the surgery. They had to put screws in my ankle and all this stuff. I was lucky that what they did on mine was temporary. They was able to go back and take them out once it all reconnected. But still, my foot was swelled up like a football. But because I followed what the doctor said, I stayed off my foot. And even sitting down, people would be like, well, sitting down is not on your foot. Well, if you're sitting down and your foot's not up the way you're supposed to, then you're still on your foot. You're still doing what you shouldn't be doing. So that's what
Yep.
Andy's saying. Andy can only sit so long at his desk, even now, or he can not do that and do what he wants, and he's going to have all kinds of problems. So uh, it's all about how you handle yourself. So yeah. Anyway, uh, good thing you're recovering, Andy. You're doing better. So programming as far as normal stuff. People have asked me a few times. You heard me talk about it on my live stream. No sneak peeks right now, and we really don't know when that sneak peek's going to happen because he's got to be healed up from all this. So we really don't even have an idea, do we, Andy? Do we have an idea of how long we might be out looking at sneak peeks again, or is that still one of them? We'll let you know when we get there. Uh-oh. I'm not hearing Andy, folks. I hope he didn't shatter his foot. No, I'm kidding. But I don't hear him. Is it on my end or his? Let me check. Uh,
Ops 29.1.
okay, it's not on my end.
Start virtual start recording checkbox
Yeah,
checked.
I lost
Stop
you
streaming checkbox
for a
checked.
minute.
Okay, so you heard. Okay, so was you able to hear what I was saying though? Or
I got the part about you wanting to know when the earliest
yeah. So
sneak
basically,
peek
what
would.
I was saying was, uh, because I was asked a few times. You heard me talk about it on one of my live streams here recently. Someone asked about sneak peeks, and we said we don't know. As of right now, do we have a rough how far out we might be, or are we just going to update these guys at a later time because we're just not sure yet?
I'm not really sure. The earliest could be the second week of September.
Okay,
At practical points, it might not be until October.
okay, that's fine. So let's talk about source build. Now, before we do, now Andy, you're the programmer, and so you can add to this. But I know that you're going to put this out there to people too. They encourage you to do the source build to learn how to do this and to because it's helping them too. But if Andy does some changes to TFM and you do the source, I would think you don't want support requests every time they pull a new. You do an update, then they add it, and now they're having problems with TFM's not working right. So we need to understand, between beta and them doing the source build, are they reporting bugs when they start using it? Is it recommended that they use it? If they do use it, so what is the support behind it as far as when you're adding features and they do a source build? Are you taking support feedback slash this change isn't working or this change is working? The reason I'm asking because I don't want you to get flooded with a bunch of messages every time someone does a source build and then all of a sudden it's not working. So try to draw that fine line where you draw that at, Andy, as far as when people start doing this and using it.
The fine line is drawn. There is no support, period. No questions asked. There you go. On the other hand, if something doesn't seem to be working or something doesn't seem to be fully complete, read the changes in GitHub before you report anything, because there are status updates in those messages that come through that tell whether it's finished or what restrictions there may be on it at the time. So make sure you read that before you go put something in GitHub and
Right.
say, oh, this feature is completely busted. Here's a bug report, long trace backs and long exception logs and all this stuff just to find out that I already said in the messages
That something's
in
not
GitHub
working.
that this isn't fully complete yet. Expect some more stuff next week.
Well, it's like the one that I fly with, which is let me see what we called that one when we was doing sneak peeks and all that.
TFM files. Item 2 list. TFM 23. TFM 23.907. FSO Next Performance List. TFM 23.90738.
The one that's got
TFM 23.90738.
23.9.
TFM 23.90738. FSO TFM 23.90738.
Yeah,
Alpha 7.
23.9. Yeah, those are alpha builds.
Okay, so
Alpha builds are different than beta builds or preview builds. Alpha builds are before they're released.
right, this is So this is why this is a sneak peek because not even I can do the source build and grab one of these, and there still might be some of them where Andy's got something that's not on the source yet.
Yep.
But what I want people to understand though is just like when I'm using this one right now when I fly with it, I know that ILS, as far as on the TFM side now, someone had said, well, then you can't do an ILS if it don't work. Yes, you can. TFM is only giving me the information of getting lined up and connecting to the ILS. Minus right now, that part's not added in. So when I'm, at 3,000 feet catching a localizer, I don't get that, 2,000 feet down or 1,500 feet up, whatever. I know that doesn't work, but I also know that I'm still going to connect to ILS. But point is, I don't run and report that doesn't work because I already know it does not. So if you got a source and something doesn't work, there's really, unless Andy announces that, hey, let me know. This is for you to be able to do source build on your own, not really the beta part of TFM. There's still a difference, I guess, is what I'm getting at, Andy, that you're encouraging people to do the source build, but it's not like a beta where you report everything that's working and not working. It's just
Right. So differences preview or slash beta build is mainly for testing finished features to see if there's any bugs in them. Source builds are mainly meant to look at early stages of feature development, so you guys can really have a say on what happens and what doesn't happen. Because see, the problem comes in is, and we were talking about this earlier, if I remember, is if the way it goes right now is maybe two or three of us are using the source builds.
Hmm.
Okay, that gives a little bit of insight, but I use the source build. Jason uses the source build. That's always obvious. We're
Right.
doing it for development. We might not be able to catch anything. We're too close to the source code to uh, catch everything or to understand what everybody else is seeing. We just see here's new features in, out, in, out, feature in, feature out, bug in, bug out. That's what we see.
Right. But we
So
fly with it and we see what it's doing, I think is what Andy's saying. We see what is happening with what he might have added. Like, for example, say he added some kind of. Now, I'm just making this up. This is not going to happen. Say he added something that will notify you when you're getting into a bad storm, right? And it doesn't work. He's not seeing that part when they're developed. They're so close that what they're seeing is the bug with the code and all that. We fly it. We see the part where, oh, well, it's not working because it's doing this. Would that be a fair
it's a fair
example?
statement. It's a fair statement, but I'm going to go a little bit further and say that the way the most the way most of the TFM community uses it is preview. It's closest anyone ever gets to the source is the officially released preview build. So that's good because it catches bugs before they go into the official release. But
Right.
problem comes in is when we create a feature, let's say, and by the time it hits preview, it's so deeply embedded and intertwined into TFM that if a lot of people say, oh, you know what, this isn't working right, or you should have considered this before you put it out, now we have a problem because we will have to unwind all of that source code and rebuild that particular segment of code or feature or block of TFM from scratch again just to have somebody test it in preview, and it still might not necessarily even be the thing you guys are looking for. It might be close, but it might not be completely.
Right. Right. That.
ILS is the destination runway is a good example. So when we originally made that, had the idea, okay, you can tell your destination runway, here's the ILS, it gives you your bearings, it gives you your altitudes. By the time it was hardened into TFM, it was so intertwined into the whole entire system. And some people said, oh, hey, what about giving us the option of RNAVs? Or what about giving us the option of localizers
Hmm.
only? And it's like, well, I can do that, but that means that I'm going to have to undo
Now you got
a
to
large.
unwrap a whole wad of
Yep,
yarn.
yep. And then roll it back up in a nice, pretty little ball with a different
Yeah.
color.
Because it's like having that code, you guys, and then taking yarn and just wrapping it and wrapping it and wrapping it and turning it and twisting it and wrapping it. Now they got to go back, unwrap it to the point where that changed. And even though
Yep,
they coded it, doesn't mean that Andy can say, "Oh, I know how far. This only take this long. I'll get rid of this, this, and this, and it should be fine." I'm sure he's got to get rid of some and then look at it and say, "No, that's still not far enough back. Let me go back
yep,
further."
yep. And it comes to point here in this .NET 7 migration that we're doing. In order to meet people's uh, long standing request, I literally had to demolish the entire destination runway slash ILS feature and rebuild it from scratch. Benefit being it's newer, it probably will work a little bit better,
Right.
and it's got localizer only slash RNAV runways now. But,
Right.
you
Oh,
know,
the
here,
RNAV.
get,
So the RNAVs is in the source build that we did today, or no?
um, I'm trying to remember. I believe they are.
See how that works, guys? I even asked him, and he's got to think because there's so much involved in it. So much involved. I would
Yep.
love if I knew how to code because, like Jason said and Andy said, that having extra hands does help, and this is going to help them a lot too. Don't think that it won't because it does. Um,
Yeah.
but again, like you said, it just this makes it better. So
Yeah.
let's
And
let's
well, and here's the reason why it makes it better. Because if the more people that run things from
NDIDIA
source
settings. NDIDIA 84 scan lens
and
rotation is
check
available.
things out as we put things into the GitHub repository,
sure
broken or not,
sure
the earlier we can catch bugs, the earlier we can design a feature path
yeah
based on what people really want or don't want. Because, okay, so let's say for an example, one of the upcoming things, I can guarantee you this, one of the upcoming features with Navigraph, that's a pretty heavy favorite at this point, is nearest VOR. Along with that comes with the ability to search for a VOR, even if it's not in your flight plan or nearby you. You can look them up and see what they are.
yeah
Same
um
things with well, same things with SIDS and stars. Now let's take a SID for an example. So one of the things people use FS Tramp for is to look at the description of a SID or a description of a star. You know, what is its flight path? What are the left turns, the right turns? What are the headings? What are the minimum and maximum altitudes before before you even put them in your flight plan?
mhm.
You can see what it's going to look like. Now, let's say we start making this feature in a certain way. We'll call it path 1.
Mhm.
Well, let's say partway through path 1, a bunch of users get up and say, hey, wait a minute, this, before you even go any further, think about what's going to happen if we want some more features added to this. What if we want to add waypoints to our STIDs and stars? Then what would it look like? Oh, hold up, okay. And stop there and say, oh, okay, well, let's add the ability to do that now before it gets to be so tightly wound up that we can't do it anymore.
Right.
Whereas if we waited until the preview build and said, oh, okay, well, add the ability to let us add waypoints to our SIDS and stars. Well, we can't do that now. We have to unwind the whole thing, build it back up again.
Yeah.
So,
Um, Kev on Facebook. Sometimes it's working, sometimes it don't. Anyway, it's working, so I'm going to read this. What the only reason I'm reading this is because you're gonna laugh at this. I already know what your response is going to be, but I'll read it. What if we tried to implement or add our own coding to the source build and it doesn't work? Would you guys be willing to look at code if we can't figure something out? I didn't know the answer to this.
hey, The short answer, yes, we will look at your source code. The long answer, no, doesn't necessarily mean it'll make it into TFM.
Well, and this is where the other part, I just wanted to read this in sections. I've been reading programming books for around 3 months now. Don't know a lot on programming, but I'm going to try and see what I can do with adding some other stuff to TFM, and figured if I can't get it to work, I would just give it to you guys and let you fix it. No. You, they want help. Let me say, I'm going to speak for you just for a minute, Andy, and then you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to speak for you and Jason just for a minute. They do want help. If someone knows how, let me say it again, if they know how to program, meaning they know what they're doing. For example, I don't know how to program at all. I'm not going to go grab a textbook, read it for a month, and then be like, oh man, I'm ready to join the team. Because you can't learn that fast on this stuff. Anyway, well, maybe you can, but I couldn't. I guess my point is this. You got to know how to program, and if you just start adding a bunch of code that don't even make sense, and you got it scrambled up, it doesn't mean, okay, I'll just send it to Jason and Andy. They can fix it, and they'll get it working the way I want it. I didn't know that answer. So, it's not even something to have a long conversation about. If you know what you're doing, I think that's why he's saying, yeah, we'll take a look at it. Maybe we'll. So, if you add some stuff to this, let's say you add something to it and it works, it doesn't mean that when you send it to Andy, he's going to say, okay, we'll add that. We'll add that into TFM.
Why would I want to build TFM from source?
Brooke Talon says, why would I want to build from source, Andy? We're just moving on from that one, but yeah. Brooke said, why would I want to build from source?
Okay, so let me back up to Kevin here, because it requires a little bit of a explanation and clarification here.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I left it with you, because yeah, yeah.
People can, if they know how, or if they want to attempt to add things to TFM themselves. That's why it is open source. People can attempt to add to, or if they have the ability to do it, add to TFM. Now, it would be done through something called a pull request. Basically, it means that you would fork the repository into your own account. You would make your changes into that repository, and you would send us what they call a pull request, which has all of your changes in it. We would look at it. If it deemed necessary to do so, we would send it back to you with comments on what you needed to do in order to make it work.
Right.
If it fits TFM's goals, guidelines, and coding standards, then yes, we will, and it works, then yes, we will merge it into TFM.
Right. Right.
Now, saying that, we will not let anyone have rewrite access to the repository, because we get asked that sometimes. Well, if I give you source code.
That was the last part of the question that I didn't finish. They said, Kevin said, how can I get access to what you just said?
Yeah. So the answer is we will not provide read-write access directly to the repository.
Well, no, that could really mess up your guys' stuff.
Yeah. The positive answer is go fork the repository into your GitHub account. Make all the changes you feel necessary. Send a pull request back with your explanation on what it is and what it does. and we will take a look. Can't guarantee it'll make it into TFM, but we will definitely take a look if it warrants a look.
Right.
Uh,
Then for the next question, why do I need to build?
so why you need to build from source, again, is like we were explaining earlier. If you were not here during that explanation, I'll give a short one because it helps us be able to catch features and direct them in the way that people want before they get so intertwined into TFM that we need to rebuild TFM to change it.
Now, guys,
And it also catches bugs at an early
yeah,
point
and
too.
the other thing is this too. Don't get rid of the main TFM that you use on a normal daily basis. Like
Absolutely no, do not.
I still
Do
have the
not.
regular TFM, so I know if I got to do a flight and I really need to do that flight or want to do that flight, I can just use TFM. I don't got to worry about anything. Run it, use it, whatever. But then you got this where you can build it yourself and get to experience. It's just like when we do sneak peeks, guys. You guys see me doing all these cool things. Well, now
You'll be able to do it
you can do
yourself.
it yourself. You can fly with
Yep.
the new features. Doesn't mean it's going to work. Doesn't mean it's not going to crash. Doesn't mean that it won't that it won't crash. I mean, it doesn't mean that it will crash. It might not. It's the adventure of it too.
Yep.
The ability to say, "Oh man, I can use the same thing he's using on that sneak peek."
Rook Talon. I use the
You know,
preview builds
it's
that are
really
regularly
cool
posted.
to
He
Heard
said
the
see.
intern on autopilot with TFM.
Okay,
It's
he said he uses the preview builds that's regularly posted. But that's the thing. Now they're going to start having it where you do the build, right, Andy? Are you going to continue to post the preview
so
builds?
we are going. Yes, we're still going to
Okay.
do preview builds on the website, but for people who want to, it's been something that some people's asked
Now, Brick, that doesn't
for.
mean you got to do the build. It's
You don't have
helpful.
to.
Right now, there's what, maybe a handful of us that are doing it.
Um, as of the time I made the directions on how to do it public, there's probably about 6 of us.
And that was
And it's
added me to it today, I think, to the
yeah,
list.
yeah, and it's quickly growing. Before I posted the directions, there was like maybe 2.
So here's what we'll do, Brick, to give you an idea.
Folder view list.
And after we do this, then we can talk a little bit about installation, but um, not like full, you know, A, B, C, D, F, G. So,
TFM file row 1 column 1 1 ops 29.1 restream chat column 3 GitHub desktop column 446.
Andy, I'm on the GitHub right now. So, pretend that you're telling me what to do, and let's just show them how quick this is. I'm on GitHub
Okay.
now.
Yeah, so this is post setup for source building. So this is if you have everything installed and you want to get the newest updates that we put up there and build them yourself.
Right.
So you open this GitHub desktop where we clone the repository.
Menu items up
On
menu
the
menu items.
main page, there is a button that says fetch.
Edit submenu 2 of 6.
So if you
Clickable
go
current
to
repository
that
talking flight monitor
button,
button collapsed. Clickable current branch.net 7 migration button collapsed.
So you see where it
Clickable current
says
repository talking flight monitor button.
current
Clickable
repository,
current branch.net 7 migration button collapsed.
current branch,
Clickable current branch.net 7 migration button collapsed.
.NET 7
Fetch
migration,
origin last fetch clickable 24 minutes ago button.
and right here is a fetch button. Now, I've already done it, so that's
Fetch
why it
origin last fetch clickable
says
25 minutes ago button.
25 minutes ago button. So I would hit that.
Fetching origin hang on.
yep, so
Fetching
you press
origin.
that.
Should give me an announcement, I think. Sometimes NVDA is dumb, but no announcement yet, but I feel like
It's probably done by now. So sometimes it happens to me. If there aren't any new updates, it won't tell you that the fetch was complete.
so what, just tab and shift tab when that happens just to see.
So just move away from and back to the button just to see.
So we're just
Button last fetch clickable just now. Button fetch origin. Button
Yeah.
last fetch clickable just now.
last fetch just now button is what I'm on. So
Yep. Okay, you do that. You close this GitHub desktop.
so we'll close
Desktop
that.
list. Simming files web. Start window. Search window.
Now you go into
Visual
Visual
Studio 2022.
Studio.
App. Press right to switch preview 1 level 1. Microsoft Visual
enter.
Studio Community 2022. Welcome Microsoft Visual Studio window. Tab control.
Alright.
Welcome tab selected 1 of 1. Search
We're on
control
the
grouping tabs.
welcome
Search recent
tab.
press Alt plus down to navigate any recent search terms blank. Ready.
Tab over to recent.
Options button. Options for recent. Search control grouping. Options button. Options for recent project list.
Options for recent.
Open recent list. Today grouping expanded 1
Open
of 1.
recent
Down arrow.
list.
New project button. Choose a project tab.
Yep.
Open recent list. Today grouping expanded 1 of
Recent
1.
list.
Oops.
Down arrow to TFM.
Options button. Open recent list. Today grouping expanded 1 of 1. TFM.slnc. User Scott documents. GitHub talking flight monitor source button. Last
There
access
it
on
is.
8/21/2022.
TFM SLC.
Open content. Today grouping expanded. TFM.slnc. User Scott documents. GitHub talking flight monitor source button. Last access on 8/2022.
Hit run.
TFM.slnc. User Scott documents. GitHub talking flight monitor source button. Last access on 8/21/2023 2:23 p.m. Open context menu. View options to remove.
Okay. What did I do?
TFM Microsoft Visual Studio. Tab control. TFM Microsoft tab selected 1 of 1. Text. Ready.
Oh, it said ready. I was not supposed to hit enter on that because that's what I
TFM
did.
Microsoft Visual Studio.
Yeah, you hit enter on TFM.sln in the recently opened list. If you hear ready, it's a good thing. It means that it refreshed
Microsoft Visual Studio.
the source.
Yeah, it said
list.
ready, but when I tab, it ain't doing. It's like it's just.
No, it. Yeah,
Oh,
no. There's,
Okay.
You can't tab in there.
Okay, so now you just do.
Control Shift
Shift
Bravo.
Okay.
Text editor read only blank. Ready.
Text enter read only. It says ready.
Build succeeded.
And there it is. Build succeeded.
Alt F4.
Close it.
Desktop list. Simming files 25 of
Run
29.
your source build from your icon on the desktop.
TFM source build 29 of 29.
Now watch this, guys. Now remember, I don't got this sim open, but we're not talking sim right now.
Sim market 12 of TFM source build 29 of 29.
So we'll hit enter
Hit
on
right.
TFM.
Sim NVIDIA settings NVIDIA GeForce game ready driver update is available button 2 of 11.
I'll hit right bracket to make sure it says no simulator connected.
And there it is.
Overflow window.
Overflow
button 3 of 11
window.
NVIDIA settings NVIDIA talking flight monitor waiting for connection button 1 of 11.
There it is. Talking flight monitor waiting for connection. That tells you that it took.
Yep.
And that's it, guys. Now,
That's it.
as far as installation, it's not super hard, but I don't think Andy really wants to go through the whole.
No, it takes about an hour and a
Because-
half. It took us about an hour and a half to go through.
Yeah, and it's not really hard, and there's probably stuff you can look for to get help getting it set up.
Yeah.
What would you
There
recommend
is.
to do that, Andy? What would be a good way for them to know they're doing it right? Is there anything they could look up? Is there? What would you recommend with that if they don't know how to do it?
So there is a guide that I had posted on bvipilots.net under the tutorials. So it's how to build
okay.
TFM from the source. Follow those steps in there and you can pretty much get it. I think there's only one user that's having problems. The other 5 or so were able to follow those directions with no issues.
The only reason Andy helped me today because I didn't realize he had a tutorial, or he would have told me the same thing. Hey, it's up there, easy to do. Well, I mean, we work together a lot too, so it's but still, it's not that bad. It's not. It's just time consuming. The hardest part is setting it up. The
Brooke
longest
Talon.
part.
Thanks for
It's
going
more
through
time
it.
consuming than it is difficult.
Yeah. So, once you get all that set up, though, like, I don't think there's anything in the new source yet that will, is there anything in the new source now that goes along with the newest update with the Navigraph and all that? Is there anything new that works in the new source that we wouldn't see?
There's nothing new in the source that'll actually do anything. No, it's mainly just setting up the database
Right.
at this point.
But it doesn't hurt to, I don't even have it set up, I don't think, but I'll have you tell me how to do that. Notification. Isn't there a way I can set something up that will tell me, like, hey, there's been new stuff added?
Yeah, there's a way that you go into your GitHub account and under notifications, if you follow the repository, but just because you clone it doesn't necessarily mean that you follow it.
Now,
So
can
you
you,
go into
Can you do
You
that
go
under
into
the
your
desktop app, the GitHub desktop, or you got to log into it through
No,
the?
you have to go into your actual GitHub account. So you go into your GitHub account and you go to TFM's repository,
Hmm.
and there's buttons that say watch, follow. You can do both, watch and follow.
Okay, but
So
they
if you
need to go
follow it,
to they need to go to their browser and actually log in, though,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Go
okay,
to go to your browser, sign into the website.
okay,
Go to TFM's repository towards the top of the window. There's going to be uh some buttons, star, watch, follow. You could do all of those if you want to.
okay. Now, what does star represent?
Star is kind of like a favorite.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And watch is kind of what it says. It
Yeah.
watches it, but it doesn't really.
It watches it and it tells you if anything changes.
Right. But when you follow it,
But when you follow it, it adds a read-only version of it to your account so you can
be
see what's going on
and be
in more detail.
notified. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds pretty simple. I don't think anybody would need a walkthrough on that. Uh,
So
just some simple
I was
settings.
actually just thinking, as far as Navigraph goes, there actually is working code
Okay.
for the database.
And what are
So,
we going to see with that as far as the working
so,
code?
so basically what it does is if there is no database present, it will create a, it will install a default version of the Navigraph database.
Oh, if you don't have anything installed.
If you don't have anything installed, it'll set up a default database, and then once you get the actual newest cycle, then
Rook Talon.
the newest cycle
Would
will
it be worth it
replace
to
the
get
default
NaviGraph now or
database.
wait like a few months?
Um,
And you would be able to see that in TFM logs because TFM will actually write down in the log what version of Navigraph you're currently using.
right. Brooke said, would it be worth getting Navigraph now or waiting a couple months?
I would get it now.
Yeah. Because like with me, guys, I'm going to check the builds every day. Because like Andy said, he's able to do a little here and there. So you never know when this sneaky little critter over here adds something slick.
Yep,
Uh, he's kept me
it's been
hanging
done
on a.
before.
Oh, I know it has. You've kept me hanging over the ledge like a mouse about to fall off the top of a building. Like, just hold on, we got something new. Hold on, here it comes. Uh,
Yep.
but I mean, even if you don't got notifications, it's just as easy just to open GitHub. Look at the fetch. Let Let's show them real quick on.
System tray overflow window. TFM Ops 20 restream star type general DVI pilot general DVI
I'm
folder
gonna
view.
open
TFM source build Google Chrome 7 gold wave 19 GitHub desktop 28 of 79.
GitHub.
GitHub desktop.
Walk me to
Rook Talon.
show me that list again,
I'm
Andy, to
having
see
trouble
what was
landing.
last done.
I can fly with the AI and the
Yeah,
autopilot, but
okay, so
landing
you're
never
on the main
works.
page when you
Yes.
open it up.
Yep.
If you're using NVDA, you can press the letter X to jump to the next checkbox. It says,
Ranks.
Clickable changes one property page one change file checkbox
Hi,
checkbox
hi.
one change
for
file approved.
everyone else, it
Changes
will
one
say,
change, it says.
yeah, it says one change file. You accidentally changed something in there by accident, so
Yeah,
either way,
I'm not sure what I don't know what I changed, but
yeah, we can fix it later. But okay, so if you up arrow from there, you're gonna find History tab.
Tab history. Tab selected changes one.
yeah, changes one,
Tab history.
and then history.
So activate History tab.
Selected.
Yep, selected.
Yep. Now if you tab, I think
History property
if
page. Select branch to compare.
we
Edit blank.
said
Select branch to compare.
not tab twice
List.
until you get to
List with
the
6 items.
list
Diff
of
options. Button
6
left. Diff options.
options.
Yep.
Hit Shift tab again.
History property page. List. Navigraph. I have for Andy Boyd. Andy Boyd bullet 7 hours ago. 1 of 100.
7 hour ago, 1 of 100.
Yep. So now when you're on this list, you have to make sure you have focus mode turned on if you're an NVDA user. If you're a JAWS user, make sure forms mode is turned on. before you start to navigate in this list.
So
Because
we'll
if
do-
you don't, it's not going to work right.
Yeah, so we'll do insert space. I believe that was the unfocus, I believe. Let me see.
List clickable graphic avatar for Andy Board. List navigate. 5. Select branch to compare.
The
Edit.
lower
Clickable list navigate.
pitched
5.
tone is turning off focus mode. The higher
There we
pitched one
go.
is turning it on.
Now it's on.
PMDG 737 FMCP command help avatar for Andy Board.
So now
Andy Board
if you
full
up
day
and
30
down
seconds.
the arrow
2023
through
100
this
100.
list, then you can
PMDG
see the
737
recent
navigate.
changes
5 avatar
that
for Andy Board.
we've
Andy Board bullet
made
7 hours ago 1 of 200.
and who did it and what time it was.
Yep, I got 1 of 200 because obviously it's going to show you.
Yeah.
Navigate.
And say
PDL holding
if
turning avatar for Andy
you
Board. Andy
put
Board 48 hours ago.
focus on
Navigate.
one of
5
these
avatar for Andy Board. Andy Board
items
bullet
and
7
you
hours ago 1 of
press
200.
enter on it and then get out of forms mode
Yep.
and down arrow
List
through,
clickable
it'll
graphic avatar for
actually
Andy Board.
tell
List Andy Board
you,
bullet clickable 7
it'll
hours
give
ago.
you a
Navigate.
description
5.
on what
List with 6 items
happened.
clickable graphic avatar for Andy Board. Andy Board.
Yep,
Clickable
says
graphic avatar for Andy Board.
Avatar for Andy
Andy Board.
Borga.
Clickable 371 CCC. Clickable 3 changed files.
3
Clickable
change
plus 5.
files, plus
Clickable minus 5.
5,
Button
minus
select diff options.
5. Then you go down, it's got diff
How to list configure the Navigraph
options.
table.
Oh, here we go. Configure
List how to
the
list configure the Navigraph table.
Navigraph table.
Clickable list. Edit read only multi-line.
Yeah,
Edit
it
clickable
gives
button
you the
expand up.
name of the
Add
table.
minus 318. 8 plus 308. Button clickable expand up. Add minus 318. Clickable 318. 318. Blank. Clickable 319.
Then it's got a bunch of
319.
numbers.
Unit bar
319.
decibels context equals new TFM proper clickable
Yeah,
320.
this is basically a thing that shows how many lines were added, how many lines were removed, which ones were changed.
But the description is before that, isn't it?
Using
Yeah.
clickable
Yeah,
300
the
blank.
description's
318.
before that where
308.
it
Add minus 3 button
says,
clickable expand up.
like in your
Edit read
example,
only multi-line.
configured
Out of edit clickable list.
Navigraph, whatever
Edit read only
table.
multi-line. Out of edit clickable button expand up. Add minus 318. Button edit read out of configure the Navigraph table.
Yeah,
List
right
with 6
there.
items button collect
It's
diff
right,
options.
under, it's right under where it's got the list of
How to
6
list configure the
options,
Navigraph
you
table.
guys.
List with 6 how to list configure the Navigraph table.
Then it says configured
List with how to list configure the Navigraph table.
the Navigraph something table. I didn't see what it.
Navigraph. I-A-I-A-P.
Oh, the AI.
P-A-I-A-P.
The AIP.
Space.
Yeah.
Or
List with
IAP.
6 items button collect diff options.
So-
IAPs.
Yeah. So there you go. That's.
Clickable minus 5. Clickable plus 5. Clickable 3 changed files. Clickable 371 CCC Andy Borda.
Yeah, I don't know what file I changed anywhere.
Navigraph.
'Cause,
I avatar for Andy Borda. Andy Borda bullet 7 hours ago. 1 of 200.
the only
Select
thing
branch to
I
compare. Edit blank.
did
Tap control.
was.
So-
Select.
There's a way to do this.
Okay.
If you go, okay, so if you go back to the changes tab,
Let's see.
Tab changes 1. Tab selected history. Tab changes 1.
Yeah, changes 1. Select that.
okay, yep, activate that.
Tab history.
Now after the after that checkbox where it says one change file,
Clickable checkbox
there's
check 1
going
change
to be
file.
another
1/1
list.
change file included.
Yeah, it says
Clickable check 1/1 change file included. Clickable checkbox check 1/1 change file included.
1/1 change file
Clickable checkbox
included.
checked. 1/1 change file
Yeah,
included.
if you down arrow again,
checkbox
it's
checked.
going to give you another checkbox.
1/ clickable list checkbox checked.
List
List for
checkbox
select TFM
checked.
box modified included.
Yeah,
List checkbox
okay.
checked.
Turn on forms mode.
On that
1/1 clickable list
checkbox.
checkbox checked.
Yep.
Changes 1 property page. List checkbox checked.
Okay.
All right. Now press home.
Source select TFM box modified included 1/1.
Source/TFM.
Document review. List checkbox checked.
Yep.
Object review.
Okay.
Document review. List checkbox checked.
Now
checkbox source slash
root your
modified.
mouse.
Source select TFM box rod.
Oh, source
O-U-R-T-E/TFM dot
slash TFM dot CSPROJ
space modified included.
Yep.
modified
Modified included. Clickable space.
included is what it says.
Yep. So NVDA Shift M to route your mouse to that list view item.
NVDA Shift M. It beeped. I guess we're on it.
Yeah, yeah. Now right click on it.
Right menu selected submenu. Start changes 1 of 8.
Discard
Ignore files. Add to
changes.
document. Ignore all
Ignore.
start files. Add to copy file. Add 4 of 8.
Hit discard
Ignore all file. Add to
changes.
start changes 1 of 8. GitHub desktop document. Confirm the start changes dialog. Are you sure you want to discard all changes?
Are you sure you
Changes
want
in
to
your source.
discard
Are you
all
able to recycle bin dot. Do not show this message again. Checkbox not checked.
And
Confirm the
hit
start changes. Checkbox not
discard.
checked. The start changes button. Do not show the start changes button. GitHub desktop. GitHub desktop. Clickable application menu. Menu bar. Menu item sub. Menu item ranch. Menu item sub. Menu item help. Menu bar. Click.
Okay.
Button collects talking flight. Button collects current repository.
And you're back to
Back to the
Button
normal.
collects talk. Clickable. Button collects current ranch.
Mhm.
Button collects .NET 7 migration.
but
Button fetch
this
origin.
is,
Button
you
next
know,
fetch clickable
so
15 minutes ago.
you guys can easily see what we're doing, when we're doing it, how we're doing it. You can experience what we're doing, how we're doing.
Yeah.
And
That's. So what was
have-
exactly happened there? What was that file that I somehow?
so that was a project file, TFM project file that somehow got modified by accident.
Oh, okay. So maybe when I was doing the fetch or something.
Yeah, it could have been when you opened Visual Studio, you accidentally did something to it. It's not difficult.
Right, right. But, for the most part, you guys, this is, I mean, for me never using this, yeah, I've had to ask Andy how to do it, but it's not that bad. Once you do it a few times, you won't even need to ask no more. You'll just remember it. It's just like
Yep.
PMDG when you first learn that.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff to do, but once you learn it, it's not so bad. So,
Yep.
um, future, for you guys to know, me and Andy have done spoke about this. We got to make some adjustments and do some settings. But when we do some of these sneak peeks and live streams, we're going to make it where you guys will be able to come in as a viewer in the general area. You'll be able to put in questions, ask questions. You won't be able to pop directly into the voice area where we're at, but unless you're like, hey, I got something I'd like to share with you guys, and like you want to come on do something with us as far as a live stream or something, then we can give you
Yeah, it'll
access.
have to be critical to the topic, though. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
it's
Oh
John's
yeah.
stream. He can do what he wants to,
Well,
but
no, no. It's got to be. It would have to be something really, really big in order for me to bring somebody else in on a stream that's already set up for what Andy is hosting. Because I run it, but he's the host because he's the programmer. He's the one that knows about what, like, the wheel goes in his hand. So he would have to approve it. If you said, John, I'd like to come in, okay, who are you? What do you got? I would relay that back to Andy, and then Andy would say yay or nay. That's where that lies. Only because if we start doing that, everybody's going to want to come in.
yeah.
Everybody's going to want to join, and it's going to be silly stuff. And we don't want to get off topic.
Yeah, right.
Because we know how easy that is to do. It's so easy. We even veer off topic
Yeah, we
sometimes.
can get off topic sometimes, we'll be talking about an hour later. Oh, yeah, we still have to
Oh,
finish this.
yeah, by the way, let's get back on track here. I mean, I've seen me and him do live streams that's lasted 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And
Yeah,
it's okay, but
half an hour.
yeah. It's like, man, what were we doing? Why did we do that? But it's just the way it's got to be. I mean, the way I see it is if you got something you want to share on a live stream, contact me because then it would be, you would be the guest on here. You'd be, so, and again, it still needs to be pretty extreme for
It's got
me.
to be
Yeah,
pretty hefty, yeah.
yeah. Because otherwise, I'm going to be doing live streams all the time, and it's never going to be me flying or me doing sneak peeks. It's going to be doing live stream because everybody's got one little topic that they want to share. And that just turned into a mess. But we will have this modded, so like I said, you'll be able to come up, you'll be able to post questions, Andy will be able to read what you're asking. So I think this will make it a little bit better because it's not just me seeing the question. And I don't got to
Yeah.
go through Restream necessarily to do the chat. I don't know. I like the idea. I think Discord is good. I do like, the server that we've always been on, but for what we're doing, I just feel like this is more fit. It's more fit.
And it's free.
And it's free. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because like I said, simple mistake of mine was I forgot that me and the old lady. Glad she's not here. Hear me saying old lady, but me and the girl, we changed some account information. Well, I didn't update it on some of my renewal stuff. Like monthly stuff you got to pay for. And I'm like, oh, here I thought it was an update on the server, and it wasn't. It was because I didn't change the account information, and I can't. To our Carter ride, which should be tomorrow, hopefully by Wednesday. But we'll still have the server. We'll still do things up there, but I feel like the live streams it's better to do it here. I think it's better to do it here.
Yeah, sound quality is a little bit better too.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So, guys, I encourage you to do the builds, to do the source builds. You don't have to. If you want to use the previews that they release because it's just easier for you and you just really think that you'll struggle. It's not like Andy and them saying you got to do it. It's fine if you can't do it, but it does help. And even having the 6 that they got now, 6 of us doing it, it it helps out a lot. And there's probably going to be more, I'm sure of it.
Well, and here's another thing to think about too.
Robert
The
Hooden.
last
Is it also useful for
official
P3D?
build was 23.2. That was back in February. We're now close to September. There hasn't been any releases since then. Everything has all been in a source code repository, getting shuffled around, redesigned, reorganized, redeveloped, and everyone is using a stagnant version that will not get changed ever again.
We'll get to that here in
Period.
1 second, Robert.
No, no questions asked. This 23.2 or 23.3, whatever this last official build was, it is the last. It will never be changed ever again. We will not work on it again. What is going on is in the source code repository. So, in a
Rook
sense,
Talon. I got
from
Navigraph.
February/March all the way up until September here and beyond, we've been writing source code and putting features out. And I mean, there's some really nice, really cool stuff that's in there. Ready to use, ready to go, production ready. And y'all are missing out.
Right, right. Now, if you get
And
the
the
you got it.
change will be a lot more difficult. If here all of a sudden a preview build pops out sometime towards the middle of next year, and no one's been doing the source builds, which is okay, but TFM will not even look the same. You you'll probably get lost.
Yeah. So doing what I just showed you, showing you how I fetched it and loaded the new one in. Once you do that, I mean it's easy to do. I encourage people to do it. I encourage you to do it. As someone, if you're
Rook
gonna
Talon.
ask somebody for
So
the
do
source,
the source builds or else you are not going to
You
be
might as
able
well
to get
build
the latest
source
stuff.
yourself.
yeah, Brooke just said, so do the source build. You're not gonna be able to get the latest stuff. I mean, that's in a nutshell, yeah. Eventually, you will get it. What Andy's saying, though, by the time you get it, that it goes out to the public review, it's going to look totally different. You're going to have to ask, hey, how do I do that? What is this? What is that? Why did that not work anymore? Why did you change that? What is this? Or we're doing a live stream. We got all these new things we're showing you. And you're like, well, how do I do that? That's not on this one. Because you're not on it. Because you don't got it. That's why you got it. Robert asked a good question. Keep these questions coming, guys. Does this include, you had to know this question was coming. Does this include P3D? Before you answer that, Andy, let me remind people, there's an update that Andy put on a blog. You need to go read that.
Rook Talon.
Go ahead, Andy.
Well, all right then. Guess I ought to learn some coding then.
Short answer, yes.
Neat.
Long answer, we could spend another 45 minutes.
What was your short answer you cut out on your short answer? Give it a minute, Andy. Let your...
Oh,
Okay, try it again.
The short answer is yes, it does include P3D.
Okay.
Short answer, it could take another 45 minutes to explain it.
Right. Just to tell you, but it does. So that's.
But
But you guys,
about,
you need to read the blog, the latest blog. It is really important that you read that. Really,
yep.
really important. I mean, we could sit here and tell you about the whole blog, but there's going to be another hour explaining all that. Honestly.
Yeah.
Um, here's the other thing to think about. We do the sneak peeks. We're still going to do sneak peeks, even when people are doing source builds. We'll still do
Yep.
sneak peeks. That way, that way we can explain what stuff is, because maybe you do got a source build, but maybe you don't understand, well, what is that? What does that do?
Rook
The
Talon.
sneak peek will explain all
I
that.
read it. P3D6 ain't supported. P3D5 is
Think of it as a
abandonware for
how-to guide, I
TFM from
guess.
what I understand.
Brick said so. P3D5 is abandonware from what I understand, and P3D6 doesn't work at all. So, not fully.
We're stepping into this thing. Okay, so P3D5 and earlier is not abandonware. P3D6 is not going to be ventured into.
I mean, we don't even use 6. It don't do us any good.
Yeah, we don't use 6 because PMDG said that they won't be working on it
Robert
for quite
Hoodin.
a long time, if ever.
Sure I will. But I was only wondering, or it is
And
useful
there's no
for
point
me.
in
But good to
working
know.
on P3D6 if there's no useful content.
Right. Someone, I can't remember if it was Robert or Brooke that said, so I need to start learning some new sort. You don't got to know the code. You don't got to
You
know
don't have
code.
to. Nope.
Just got to understand how to do the build.
Nope. Because we're not looking for coders' feedback. We're looking for users' feedback on the stuff that we're putting in.
Like, for
As soon as
example,
it,
Andy releases, let's say a new source comes out in the morning. And, Andy's like, being Andy knows that I had the source build, he might say, hey, John, do a short flight for me and tell me if this new ILS feature, whatever, is it working the way that it's supposed to. That's where this is important, because he just did it. I can say, Andy, as soon as I catch the localizer, it's doing X, Y, and Z. So then Andy can go back and say, okay, let me fix it. Like, quickly, he could go back and look at it,
yeah,
change it, bam.
Yeah. The idea with that is, for the example with the ILS, let's say I work up to a certain point and it's like, I decide, well, before I continue, I want some people to tell me what they think first.
Right.
Before I get so wrapped up into it that I can't reverse.
Rook Talon.
So,
Kinda cool, we can
I'll
get the
stop at a
bleeding edge
point
stuff if we do this.
where I'm thinking I want people to tell me what they think first. So,
Brick Talon said, kind of cool, because we can get the bleeding edge stuff from
then
this.
I will put it up in the repository. I will put some things out to media channels here, or BVI Pilot's WhatsApp, or
Yeah.
BVI Pilot's email,
Mhm.
and things like that, and say, okay, for people that use the source code, go grab the newest source, build it, run a flight. This is what I'm looking for. Let me know what you think. Bleeding edge, people can tell me what they think or tell us what they think right then, right away. I can get a sense as to what people are thinking, and I can design a feature path to finish based off of all of that feedback. And once it comes out, it has all of your conglomerated ideas mixed into it.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And it's not just my idea, it's not just Jason's idea, it's not our two ideas put together. It's not John from say, well, blah 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 blah, and then him saying, well, people are saying this and people are saying that. I'm not saying I don't trust him and what
Right.
he says. I'm not
Right.
saying I don't trust people for
Rook
what they
Talon.
say to him.
But it
That's
makes
really
it
But
awesome.
easier.
I ought to
it
do
makes
it.
it easier, and you're closer to the project.
Yeah. It really, honestly, guys, if you think about it, you're not the programmer, but it really brings you closer to the programmers. And as it's building, as it's like building a house, right? Andy and Jason are the ones going in and putting the switches in, the plugs in, all this stuff. But we're right there with him, and we say, hey man, it'd be cool to put that switch over there instead of in this room. Like we're right there, and we feel like we're part of the project.
We have the saw ready to cut the square out for the little power plug, and you say,
That's
hold
it.
up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Can you move that down about 4 inches to your left before you start doing that?
That is a
Oh, yeah,
good
sure.
example. Yep,
Oh, yeah,
that's
sure, okay, then boom, there you go.
because really, if you think about it, guys, all this programming, all this code it is like a giant house full of code. And by the
Eh,
time we get it, he's done added 4 other floors, and now he's got to climb back down and find what room. Where was it? Was it in the basement in the corner? Where was it?
It,
So, this is exciting stuff.
Rook Talon.
I think.
There's a V Pilot's WhatsApp. Great to hear because I'm having a hell of a time landing.
What's going on, Brooke, with your landing? What's happening? There is a BVI Pilot's WhatsApp, yes. Um, I kind of wish we would have done this a little bit ago, a while back, really.
well, see, and, as far as making the ability for explaining to people how to do the source code would have been good quite a while ago, but and the typical stereotype is people are scared of source code.
Okay, so Kev, I'm gonna let this question come through, but I would like to keep it about source build. Let's keep it about what this stream is. I will bring this one in. I will repeat it to Andy here. But after this, let's keep it about the source build on this stream, anyways. So, in a nutshell, he's wanting to know basically there are still a lot of us that fly the freeware on P3D4 and P3D5. If TFM stops giving updates to P3D4 and 5, where does that leave us that don't fly on 2020?
The short answer is
Rook Talon. I can fly using the AI
everything
taking
stays
off
the
and the
same as it
autopilot
is
of the
now.
actual aircraft.
Because
Problem is AI won't land.
Fetching origin, hang on.
It won't
Revision
find the
repository fetch
runway.
Fetch complete.
not likely anything in
Whoa, why did
P3D.
this just say fetching origin? Hang on.
GitHub desktop.
It did it on its own.
Because it does it on a
Oh, okay, so I don't got to do anything, right?
App control. Changes
no,
tab
it
select row 2.
automatically does
Fetch
it.
origin
If
left
you
fetch
leave
clickable
it
just now button.
open, it'll automatically
Clickable button
refresh
fetch origin.
itself every
Button
so
left fetch clickable just
often.
now.
So it said last fetch just now, so I don't need to worry about it.
No.
Just closes the whole thing.
GitHub desktop.
Okay, go ahead, Andy. Finish what you were
GitHub
saying.
desktop.
Sorry about
GitHub
that.
So
desktop.
anyhow, the short
Desktop list.
answer
GitHub desktop.
is P3D5 is not going anywhere anytime soon because, face it, P3D is not. Their SDK isn't going to change anytime soon, if ever, and
Right.
FSU IPC for P3D5 and earlier is not going to change anytime soon, if ever.
Right.
Which
Right.
basically means that anything that is based off of or built around P3D5 or earlier is not likely going to change anytime soon or ever. So As long as your freeware airplanes still exist and still work, then TFM will still work with them the way that you're used to working with them now.
Yeah.
Now, to say, if you're moving into the P3D world, or not the P3D, the PMDG world of things, PMDG's SDK for P3D is not likely going to change again if it changes ever. So what you see now is what you're going to get, and you're going to continue getting updates
Right.
to match the 2020 version of PMDG 737 because their SDKs are identical. Like the blog post says, if it's similar or identical between the two, then you'll get support for both of them.
Um,
It's where things split ways and end up being different. We have to prioritize to 2020. A
I
good
need
example
my,
of
1 second, Andy. My Facebook admin, you know who you are. Get rid of Kev. That just, I'm not going to repeat that, Kev. I'm not even going to discuss it. You're just out. We'll see ya. Sorry that you feel that way, but none of us have any
28 of 29.
problems. Nobody's telling you got to go to FS 2020. Where did we say that? Because no one said you got to fly on 2020. Okay. Secondly, if you're going to come on the live stream, go ask questions on a chat through Facebook, YouTube. I don't care where it's from. You can't respect what it is. I'm sorry you couldn't be a part of the group. We'll see ya. Okay, thanks. All right, go ahead, Andy.
So as I was explaining, so for the short answer of explaining things, P3D is not going to change. PMDG for P3D is not going to change.
No.
What you have currently for freeware aircraft is not going to change. Now, where things will change, in terms of freeware aircraft, we
Rook
are
Talon.
no longer developing
I'm totally
TFM
considering
to
doing this source
support
build thing.
freeware aircraft in P3D.
Say that one more time. Their chat went over top of what you said. The voice. Say that again.
We are no longer supporting new development for P3D and freeware aircraft.
Okay, so what he means by that, put it in a nutshell for him. There's no features new that are going to
No new features for freeware aircraft in P3D.
Right.
Period. End of statement.
Yeah, that puts it in a nutshell. I hate that we have to do that sometimes, but sometimes you get them one out of the whole bundle. That's what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
It'd be worth it, Brooke. It'd be worth it. It'd be a new experience, and once you do it and you see how easy it is, now, guys, here's the thing. I fly with the preview builds a lot. Sometimes I fly with the full released version. And the thing is, and I've had people email me, and I'm sure Andy has too. Maybe not. I've had people email me because they did they flew with something and they didn't like it because it messed up their flight. Well, it's a preview.
It's before a preview.
Or even before preview. So if it messes up, no big deal. It didn't completely destroy your daily schedule, and which I will admit, I hate when I do a 8-hour flight and something goes wrong. That is super frustrating.
Oh,
but
it's annoying and agitating. But when it comes to reality, at very worst case scenario, it utterly destroyed your virtual flight. Life goes on the way it goes on.
Yeah.
You didn't lose your kids. You didn't die. You didn't miss your rent payment. Whatever. I'm not trying to be hard, mean, and harsh, but that's what it is.
That's the fact of it. Yeah, that's the fact of it. Now I'm veering off a little bit, guys, because I just want to make a good example when he said that.
Rook
It
Talon.
reminds me of,
I did a 3-hour flight and it crashed
and,
during the
and I
time
think
of
you
landing.
did too, Andy. Brooke, I'm gonna answer that just in a second. Hold tight. Um, Remember when we used to be when we played them mud games like Miriani, or you know,
Yep.
I've seen people that literally dedicated their lives to living on
Uh-huh.
that. Dedicated. I
Yeah.
mean, 24/7. You seen them on there, and if something happened, you blew up one of their ships. End of the world has just landed on their house. Like freak
Yep.
out. It isn't like that in the semi world, so you know, it's not that bad. Brooke, what plane would you fly in to try to get AI to land? Because if you're flying PMDG, it will not land. AI will not land that for you fully. At least I don't think it will. I've never let AI land the PMDG. Does it land it?
I don't think so. I mean, if it does, okay, but it would be a shoddy job at best.
Yeah, I don't think it would be something to rely on. Now, unless you're talking about
Rook Talon.
freeware.
At the very least the crash wasn't real. We can thank whatever symbolic figure for that.
He said, Rick said, at least the crash wasn't real. We can thank whatever symbolic, uh, whatever, we'll thank them for that. That it wasn't real.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, I don't
right.
rely on AI on payware. Freeware, yeah, you can fly the A320 Neo, whatever it is. Not the one, not the Neo you download, but the
Rook
one that comes with
Talon.
2020. It'll fly that,
Also,
but
I was using the Airbus
oh,
A320 Neo that coems with
he was using the
FS2020.
Airbus A320 that comes with 2020, and AI was supposed to be landing it and it crashed. Uh, well,
Go figure.
the speed is not 100% still with that. Sometimes it's going way too fast to land. Second thing to do is make sure you check your settings. Make sure you had, everything set correctly. Because it's easy to have one setting off and AI mess up. Because if it's not set, then
Yep.
that's like the one setting where you can have AI take
Rook Talon.
over.
That's exactly what it was doing.
Like let's say you're flying, you can set it to AI where AI will take over if it sees you don't got the controls. That's not always 100% neither. I've done that one too. So AI is good, but I think it's better with the small planes. I think it does best with the small stuff like the Cessna and all that stuff. So anyway, see what I'm talking about? We get off topic a little bit.
Yeah, so,
This is why we don't bring people on live
Rook
streams.
Talon.
We're doing it
yeah, yeah.
It was
ourselves.
doing the
So
overspeed alerts before it
So,
crashed.
one thing I was just thinking of too is good reason to do source builds for anyone who can do it, and that is it's becoming more and more of a disadvantage to not do it.
oh yeah,
Like
100%.
because uh, like we said before, the more and more people don't do it and stick with the current official release, and the more and more we move on and do things, and the more and more unfamiliar TFM gets to people, then, it's like we said when PMDG first came up on the line and we started experimenting around for it, and we said people better just stay up to date with this stuff, because if they don't, they're going to have to learn how to fly all over again. I
Yeah.
think I actually told Brandon that once.
If you guys want a good point here, and correct me if I'm going on the wrong example here, Andy. Remember the conversation we had when you got back from Expo and we talked about some of the things that might be going on in the future with being able to fly these other planes and stuff like that,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Well,
That.
if we're not following this source, and you guys had say been working on it for 3 months, and I was gone for 3 months, or I just wasn't doing the source, and then I come in to fly.
If you were like some people, like
I won't be able to fly that A320. I'll just tell y'all right now.
I
Cause
know some people, I know a few people that follow the source, but they don't actively stay up to date with it. So like if
oh Jesus.
you ask, did you get the newest source? And it's like, well, I haven't honestly been paying attention. And then like
Okay, yeah.
you go build the source, and it's like, what the heck is that? I don't even know what this is. It doesn't even look the
That's
same.
what I say. Like with the the new Neo that hopefully we'll be able to fly in the future. I come in 4 months later and I load it. All of a sudden I'm like trying to fly it, but I don't know a daggone thing about it. I don't know nothing about the commands. I don't know nothing about even beginning to even load the son of a gun.
Rook Talon.
And all I had to do would be just have the source
That's
code,
it.
have the
Doing it
source,
now.
and
Be back.
but we done convinced Brooke to go do it after we made that example. And that's
But
a
it's
good
kind of
example, though.
it's but it's kind of like, okay, so you take this a little bit further. We've been working on this fly-by-wire for 3 months. You've been out for 3 months.
Yeah,
You come back, you load TFM back up after 3 months of not using it, or say even after 3 months of not paying attention to any of the new stuff coming out.
yeah.
But at the same time, it's the only airplane you can fly. It's the only thing you can fly. It's like that, you know. It's like, okay, here's your Airbus. It's the only thing you have available to you. And you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do things. I don't know. I just don't have a clue.
Right.
And so for people who, again, which is fine, don't keep up with the source code and actual building it and running it, at least try to at least try to follow the repository and keep up to date with what is going on inside the repository.
And let's think about this for a minute. Even if you're doing a source and you're having trouble doing the build or something, there's enough of it. I mean, someone will help you. I'm almost 100% that somebody would be glad to help you if you know, if you're serious about it. Now, if you're just like, a month later, you're like, oh, Andy, will you help me? And he's like, okay, I'll help you. And then 2 months later, no, because you're not serious. But if you're serious about it, somebody will help you. I'm almost 100%. Brooke Town says I'm convinced I'm going and doing it now. When we brought up, I mean, using the example about the Airbus that we might be able to fly in the future is a daggone good example because that's where
Well,
all that'll be.
here's another example. If I wouldn't have put this stuff out on the blog a lot and I wouldn't have talked about it enough, think about this Navigraph stuff. Even if you were building from source, the stuff sneaks up on you like a little old thief. Because if I wouldn't have mentioned a whole lot about it, even for people who build the source code, all of a sudden Navigraph is going to smack you on the face and you won't know where it came from.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Where did this come from? I didn't see anything or know anything about this stuff.
Exactly. So, guys, if you've got the motivation and the willpower, just do it. Do
If
it.
you got the ability, do it. If you don't, that's fine. At least keep up with notifications on what's going on.
I mean, yeah, I do the sneak peeks with Andy and all that, but I've never done any of this stuff, guys, and I got with Andy and just did it, and it's not that bad.
Yeah, and I gave him the source build. I would build it. I would,
Yeah.
I would build it, I would zip it up, I would send it off to the server. He would download it, he would run. Now, here's the nice thing. If you go back through some of those, even the very beginning ones, when we started redoing the 37,
Mm-hmm.
there were problems. Like, you would run the source that I gave you, and it's like, this isn't doing something right. This is like, something's not right. And it's like, whoa, hold up, wait a minute. So then I'd have to go change
Fix
some
it,
source
build
code.
it again, send
I'd
it.
have to I'd have to change the source code. I'd have to make sure it worked. I would have to build it again. I would have to
Upload it.
zip it up again. I would have to send it up there again. He would have to download it, unpack it, make sure it runs right, put the exceptions in his firewall and an antivirus.
Yeah.
And then 45 minutes later, we can get on with what we were trying to do in the first place,
Trying
hoping
to
it'll
do
work.
a 30-minute stream that took an
Yep,
hour just to get it going.
yep. Now, if I say, well, let's do a sneak peek
Yeah. Grab the latest. Grab
on
the latest source.
Navigraph.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, oh, okay, goes into GitHub, pulls the newest source, goes and builds it. Okay, it seems to be running just fine. Uh-oh, there's a snag somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now what do we do? Oh, I forgot that I hadn't put the newest update to fix that bug into GitHub yet. So I go on. I mean, this is like a 2-minute fix as
Some.
opposed to a 45-minute ordeal. Push the source up there. He pulls it down through GitHub, builds it, runs it again. There you go. 2
Yeah.
minutes. No
Now,
big deal.
somebody just asked, um, because they'd seen how quick that mine built it and did all that.
Yeah.
But they said, what if we have a computer that's not as fast as your guys's? Does RAM matter when building these?
So that's actually a good question.
It is. I like that.
So RAM does make a difference, but it does not make so much of a significant difference that it's going to take 5 hours to build TFM.
It might take yours 4 minutes compared to ours 1 minute.
I've had people on, no, get this. I've had people on a i5 quad core with 8 gigs of memory build TFM. See, in this little window that you get, when you build TFM, there's this output window that pops up. It tells you whether or not TFM was successfully built or not, along with getting the NVDA message build succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little thing inside there. If you up arrow a few times from the bottom of the window, it'll say build took. And it'll give you a timer. So for an example, on mine, when I built it earlier this afternoon, it says build took 0.07659 milliseconds.
Mm-hmm.
On yours, it might say took 0.3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
On someone with the low end system, it might say took 14 seconds. That's taking forever.
Yeah. If it takes
That's way,
5 minutes, something's wrong.
So like I've tested on low end specs. The longest it took TFM to build on a low end laptop was 3.5 seconds. So it's really, RAM is kind of important more to Visual Studio than it is to TFM, because in our reality, the current source build of TFM
Mm-hmm.
only takes up about 40 megs of memory.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I can see why
that's
you guys
more,
asked, because when my build did it, I mean, it took a matter of like hit enter and not even 2 seconds later it was done. But
yep.
you're fine.
Yeah, I mean
14
something
seconds
like
is still quick. I mean,
yeah, it's fat. It's a long time for a source build, but it's still like an insignificant amount of time.
yeah.
And TFM normally shouldn't take no 14 seconds. Like I said, on a low end spec, I've had it take 3.5, and that was forever. So the short answer is RAM doesn't necessarily make any difference to TFM in the source builds. Visual Studio will take up more memory than TFM, and I think the lowest you can have Visual Studio, I think the minimum specifications for Visual Studio is 8
hmm
with an i5 quad core, so really low.
Calvin? Calvin. Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't always come through Calvin on Messenger or on Facebook. It's not because of Restream. It's Facebook. It's a Facebook thing. So when you guys post something on there, that's why I prefer people to watch it on YouTube or watch it on Twitch or watch it. I'm not saying don't watch it on Facebook, but sometimes it just don't come through, and it's nothing that I can do about it. But your question was about 2020. Technically, I should not even answer the question because we're keeping it about source, but I'll do this one just because we're not that mean. Well, not today, anyways. I'm just kidding. So I had to got to reinstall 2020. Someone told me I should just install 2020 on my external hard drive, but when I tried to do it, it gave me all kinds of complications. Is there any suggestions on if I should actually install it on the external or just keep it on my computer? Here's my opinion, and let everybody else put theirs, but I installed 2020 on my computer, not no external stuff. It can be done, but when you start bringing in add-ons and all this, you can run into complications. Some say no, you won't, but I prefer just to keep it where it's supposed to go. That's just me. Andy, what's your thought on that?
I've discovered some interesting fun things about putting it on an external drive, which is actually, in my opinion, pretty cool. Um, so right now, I have I have 2020 and everything that I can push off to it on my 22 terabyte external setup. And so what I did is when the installer for 2020 comes up and it asks you where do you want to install the 2020 content. First of all, it depends on where you get it from. I got mine from the Xbox store for PC. So when you do it that way, it's going to ask you what drive do you want to install it in and what folder on that drive do you want to put it in. So you could do that, which is what I did.
Right.
And then when the installer comes up, like you then launch it, and then the installer inside of 2020 comes up and asks you, where do you want to install all this 165 gigs of content?
Mm-hmm.
So if you down arrow until narrator says install path, edit, and gives you an installer path.
Mm-hmm.
If you hit enter, hit backspace, and then hit enter again, it will pop open a choose folder dialog, and you can actually put it on your external drive.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I did. And everything is really easy to find now.
Uh, well, that's why he said I installed it on my computer. Then I went to C/pro, copied everything, and then pasted it into my. That is not how you do it.
No.
It's not going to work. That's why you're getting a memory error and all this other stuff. It's you got to install it through the installer
Yep.
onto your external.
Yep. You can definitely put it on an
So
external.
he
It
was
will work.
copying and
But
pasting.
yeah, no, you can't do that when when you launch, whether you get it from Steam or Xbox, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But when you launch that initial installed 1.9 gig app that it installs, it's going to come up with the narrator should come up and it will ask you,
11:45
where do you
p.m.
want to install all this extra content? It may ask you about accessibility options in the very beginning, so just fill those out the way you see fit and then hit next.
Yeah.
General DVI Pilot Simmers Community Discord
But
01.
either
General DVI
way it
Pilot.
goes,
TFM
it
File
should
01,
come
column
up with
205.
the
TFM Files, Files to-do list.
installation manager.
They modified as TFM 23
Narrator
FSO next performance
voice
window tab order.txt 408.
should read to you
General
what
DVI
it
Pilot Simmers Community.
says.
Ops 29.1.3 profile.
If
Untitled
you
screen
hit
chat column
down
304.
arrow inside there,
Star
it'll
untitled list
take
tab
you
column
to
4.
a
General DVI
folder
Pilot Simmers Community
path
Discord
where
column.
it's
General
going to
DVI.
install the
Button full screen.
content.
Button show chat. Button pop out.
If you
Button disconnect. Button more
press
options.
enter on it
Graphic button
to
news.
select
Button
the
share screen.
field,
Button start an activity.
hit
Button more
backspace
options.
to
Graphic
clear
button turn
it
on camera.
out,
Button.
and then hit
Button.
enter on it
Button
again
graphic button
to
turn on camera.
choose a
Button button
folder.
button more.
It will
Button
pop
collapse box.
up a
Button focus. Button
choose
search users and channels.
folder
Heading level 1
dialog
general.
box.
Heading level 1 general.
Navigate to
Button search users and
your
channels. Button focus. Button collapse. Button more.
external
Button more.
drive.
Button. Clickable. Clickable.
Inside
Clickable.
this folder,
Clickable. Button
create
show
a
chat.
new folder.
Button full
I
screen. Button show
called
chat.
mine MSFS content,
Text chat for voice channel general complimentary
and
landmark. Message
then
generator.
press
Add auto
the
complete line
select
blank.
folder button, and it will reread to you
Out of edit
the
button. Messages
entire
general with free item 3 5
installation
today 11
manager
August 21st.
window.
Button edit channel. This is the start of the general channel. Button edit
And
channel.
when you down arrow into that edit field again, it will have
Navigation
your new
landmark. Tab
folder
control. Overview tab
path,
selected 1 of
and
5.
then you
Channel
can
name edit
just
selected general.
press update,
Slow mode slider 0
and
members will be
off it
restricted to sending one message
goes.
creating one thread per interval unless they have managed channel or manage messages permissions.
Now everything
Age
is
restricted channel
easier
checkbox
to
not checked.
find because if
Slow
I
mode.
need
Age
to
restricted channel
find
checkbox not checked. Hit rate
content
slider. Age restricted channel checkbox.
like
Hit rate slider 64,000
community
bits. Going above 64K DBS male
installed
CFX P1 coordinations.
content,
Video quality grouping. Auto radio button check 1
then
of 2.
it's
User
all
limit
in
slider
my
0 limits the number of users. Automatic minimum button select sub menu. User
MSFS/content
limit slider 0 limits the number of users. Click connect to this voice channel. User with remove members permission and voice limit. And more users in the chat. Automatic minimum button select sub menu.
MSFS/community
Close button.
folder.
Navigation landmark. Tab control. Overview tab select permissions tab 2 of 5.
Yeah.
Channel name edit selected general. Slow mode slider 0 members will be restricted to sending one message and creating one thread per interval unless they have managed channel or manage messages permissions.
Oh,
Channel name edit
whoa.
navigation landmark. Tab control. Overview tab selected 1 of 5.
Yeah. Hold on a minute there, Josh.
Permissions tab 2 of 5.
Yeah. So it's up to you guys how you do it, but again, you know, there's all kinds of stuff you can look up to get directions on that. So.
Yep.
Back to
Which, of course, wasn't the point of, yeah, so we need to keep
yeah.
it to
So we're
source
gonna go back to
builds.
source build here. If at any time, I guess you guys got questions, you know, maybe you're trying to install it or something. I'm sure Andy would be okay with you sending him, you know, some very minimal, basic questions about it if you're having trouble. I'm sure he don't mind to, you know, throw you an email or something, but be specific.
A little bit.
Be
A
specific,
little
though.
bit. Yeah, a little bit maybe,
Yeah,
but not really a whole huge ton
Yeah.
because,
and I
you
mean a
know,
little by like asking, hey, is it okay if I, you know, put my directory in documents or, you know, something very minimal. But as far as, because, I mean, he can't really tell you over email, okay, go hit this button because you're going to be playing tag for half the day. So,
Yeah.
but again, Andy, before we end this, tell them where to get the tutorial again.
So you get to the tutorial on how to do this by going to bvipilots.net, going to the tutorials section, and it should be there under how to build from source.
Okay. Next thing I want to throw out there, is there anything that you want to put out there to them as far as do's and don'ts, as far as what, you know, hey, I don't want you guys doing this, or I don't want you guys, is there anything, any announcements along with this, I guess, as far as them doing the source build and them, you know, joining the rest of us, any suggestions, anything that you guys don't want to, you know, deal with, like as far as support, If you're giving support, if you're not giving support, what do you want them to know when they install this? I guess
Yeah,
any
yeah,
rules I guess you want to throw out there.
yeah. There definitely is. So, given all the benefits and things that we were talking about, uh, there are some things that everybody needs to be aware of. One, we will not give support for any of it at all. None of it.
You really don't need support for this, guys.
That includes running TFM from source. We will not give support for running TFM from source. If people think there's an honest to God problem with it and they've looked through all of the commit messages and they still think there's an issue, GitHub.
Yeah.
GitHub issue. And with more people attempting to build from source, there's going to come more questions, more issues, more features, more problems, more whatever. GitHub, if it's not in GitHub, it was never written down.
Okay, so someone just said I saw some girl post some support into the messages today. Is that considered support, or can we do what she did? They're referring to,
To Sarah.
yeah. So I guess
Um,
what they're asking, if there was 10 people doing that, is that something that you guys,
it's
are,
something that we discourage.
yeah,
You
because whatever
know,
issues
we,
she's having, guys, it's not because like she just they're just doing something wrong in that process.
if and I guess, if it's like one message like, "Oh, we'll go do this and everything's fine," you know, again, we can't do that for every single person that comes up to the plate, but on occasion it's not so much of a huge.
I mean, I guess if it's just like a random general, hey guys, I did this and this happened. Anybody got any thoughts on why I did that? Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
okay,
and
but
something like that might be more suited for, I guess, the BVI pilots list where other people can help out too.
yeah, like go to WhatsApp if you're having. Because honestly, I've gotten a lot of help through WhatsApp in the past. Because everybody hears it, everybody sees it, and nobody can be like, hey, you can't ask a support quest. Like when there's problems, that's really the best place to go when you're having a problem and there's really not no actual support behind whatever you're doing. Because now you've got
Yeah.
everybody that sees it and they can give you their thoughts on it.
Yeah. Now, because say building TFM from source is not a TFM specific process. All open source projects usually go through the same type of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So,
so, looking up how do I build something on GitHub from source is going to be generalized to the point where it would fit TFM. Um,
mhm.
Given the support, there is GitHub, so if there actually is a bug or a feature request, it does need to go into GitHub. Um, because more and more people are getting into the source builds, more problems, more bugs, more feature requests, more, I guess, confusion from people who may not necessarily understand or know. We're not going to be able to keep track of it anymore in an email or in our
Right,
mind or on WhatsApp.
right,
GitHub, it's always there. Never delete it unless an administrator deletes the issue,
right, right.
which we never do. We never delete the issue. They're always closed if for whatever reason they need to be, but they're always there for someone to look at.
Someone can always look at it and say, "Hey, let me
Yep.
drop a line on this." So,
Now, along with all of that, there are risks that you take when you build from source. And this article will cover that. I'll cover it here. you can run the risk of something as simple as TFM not working the way you would expect it to, all the way up to hardware failure, software failure. Maybe you have to reinstall your operating system, you know, those type of things. Even TFM failure, you hold us harmless. We're not responsible. You took the risk to build from source.
Right. Now, I would really hope that nobody got to reinstall their operating system,
I've
but
seen it. I've seen it. Believe me, I've seen it. I've
don't be
seen
giving me
TFM.
cold feet, Andy.
No, no, don't. I've seen TFM botch someone, but it was
uh,
something they did to it that
right, right.
botched it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the point is, he's giving you a very good example of what. Look, it's your puppy. You do it. You're responsible. Not Andy.
Yep.
Not Jason.
Yep.
Not none of us other people that's doing it. And oh well, John's doing it okay and it's working. So I'm going to send it to him and ask. No, don't do that
But
because
you hold us harmless of any failure, damage, or any of that kind of stuff that
yeah,
happens as a result of using it from source. Uh,
yeah,
you don't get support, and you hold us harmless if you lack the technical capacity or uh, hardware or software capacity to build from source. TFM may break. Obviously, it may break. There may be incomplete features. It's your responsibility to keep a working copy on your computer to use for your production flights and your critical, mission critical things. Use TFM source builds as an exploratory, experimental feature thing to keep up with what we're doing and to give feedback.
hmm
So um, that's the
yeah,
long and short of the disclaimers.
yep,
Basically, if it breaks, it's yours to keep for free.
yeah, exactly.
Don't
Now,
come calling.
just so you guys know, someone just asked this. Well, for I don't know, I only got half the message here, but that's okay. I know what you're asking, and yes, sneak peeks will still happen. Um, Again, like the last sneak peek that we did, that's not what you would have on the build. Those are not even on the build yet. Like the last sneak peek that me and him did, like you said earlier, you wouldn't find that on the, it wouldn't be up, it wouldn't be there to build to use it. So there's still going to be sneak peeks because there's going to be. The thing is, even if it was something you could use, there's a lot of information when he does a lot of these new features that he wants to put it out there. He wants to show people how it works because later on he doesn't have to deal with, well, how do you do that again? What was the command? When do you do that? He can easily say, go watch that video. It was 2 weeks ago. And there it is. So even if you do got the build, the sneak peeks are good to have because it's giving more information, not just saying, here you go, use it. It's
Well,
actually,
and it's not, yeah, and it's not just something you happen to accidentally stumble on and like, hey, what's this? I've never heard of this or seen this before. And if, it
yeah,
if you did,
exactly.
and we already did a sneak peek on it, and it's some half-baked feature we hadn't been able to finish, but I wanted to show people what we've had of it so far.
Yeah,
Then you guys would know what to do with it when you happen to find it.
yeah, exactly. By the time you got it in your lap, you'll know what's going on. So, um, again, you guys can, again, like you said, they're not responsible for anything that goes wrong. It's on you, but uh, if you got, for whatever reason, you still need to contact Andy about TFM for anything else, remember to, go to the website, talkingflightmonitor.com. You can contact them through there. There's the WhatsApp group. There's the blog. Guys, I encourage, and I'm just going to say it again because it's how important I think that it is. I encourage you guys to make it a habit to read the blog. Like earlier, there was a question about, uh, just different questions that if you had read that blog, you would have a better understanding of really what Andy's trying to tell you now on a live stream in a nutshell, where you would understand it a lot better and say, oh, okay, that's what he meant by that on the blog. Or that's
I
what the blog
spent
meant.
I spent an hour with somebody explaining to them what was going on with this new stuff that's
Oh,
been put out on the blog. All because they admitted to me they do not keep up with the blog and never plan to. So the best thing I can say, I can't spend an hour with everyone trying to explain to them what was put on the blog 3 or 4 days
right.
ago or a week ago. So it should stand as this: if you don't read the blog, you'll miss out.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, think about it. It's good to read the blog because, for example, let's say that you read the blog 3 months ago and then you waited another 2 months to go read another one. That latest blog is going to make no sense to you. Because you're going to be like, well, what is he talking about? He could more likely be doing another blog to update from the last blog that he did. So,
Yeah, you'd have to read back through 2 or 3 months worth of blogs.
yeah. And that's no fun. But it's important to read them. You don't got to. I encourage you doing it. Again, general stuff, basic questions, stuff like that. Go to WhatsApp. There's a whole community of us on there. Even if you got something that is a support thing, take it over there because somebody might be able to help you. Somebody might have the time to help you. Somebody might have the knowledge and time to say, all right, I'm going to help you. I'm going to post this message. So,
Yeah,
um,
support if you need help on how to use TFM. That's where WhatsApp and BVI pilots email and stuff like that can go. Bug reports, like if it actual this isn't working, and I know for a fact it's not working right, do not go on BVI Pilot's email list. They do not go on the WhatsApp group. They go in GitHub. They don't go to the support contact on the website.
right,
Get
right.
GitHub.
Yeah. So, um, with that said, I'm not sure when me and Andy be doing our live stream, but I'm sure, we decided to do this. This was decided on the fly. We're like, you know what? Let's do a live stream. Let's talk about this. That way, it kind of it gets rid of all the what ifs and oh, did he say that? No, he said this. No, he didn't. This gets rid of all that. So if there's anything big that's happening, more than likely we're going to stream about it. Um, and if we're not streaming about it here, and it's something factual, then you'll see it on the podcast because we do a lot of we do only factual stuff on the podcast.
Yep. Now,
It was mentioned, are we going to do this on a podcast? Probably not, just because this is just talking about source build. It's not something that everybody's using every day, and it's not,
it's
it's just, I don't
not
know.
a concrete. So here's the thing about the podcast. The building from source is a concrete thing. There is no support. There is fact based in it, but there is no support. It's use at your own risk. We disclaim anything from it.
Yep,
So
yep,
because we disclaim everything from it and it's all at your risk and nothing on us, then we cannot put it on the podcast.
no. And not only that, but it would go against what the podcast represents. The podcast represents factual information. It represents something that is out there that's not going nowhere and it's not changing. It's not, and if it does, then it's obviously a new podcast that will get updated, but it's got to be
Something that
factual.
you can rely on the day after the podcast is over. Thing with the source build,
Exactly.
we could talk about source builds all day long and what's in the source builds. Tomorrow, it could be not even the same anymore.
Yeah, exactly. There's just
Yeah.
too much that changes in
Yep.
source build to make it a
And
podcast.
so here's the thing for those who ask about or make the statement of, well, you've actually mentioned things that are coming up that haven't even been released to the public yet, that are in the source builds on the podcast. That you keep in mind, those are larger concepts that we can be
Much
sure
larger. Yeah,
will not for the lump sum of everything, this is how they're going to be.
yeah, yeah. It's not gonna
It's
be something that's gonna change tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not like we're talking about little detaily things about, this button goes 5 pixels over from that button, and 3 days later it's not even the same anymore. It's, we're going to have this feature, this is what it might look like, but we're still in and we always qualify it's still in the design phases, so just be aware of that
Yeah, exactly.
and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
uh,
So if there's anything new coming
Overview
out
BDI.
that
Overview
we
BDI.
want
Ops
you
29.1.3.
guys
Ops
to
29.
to know
Start recording check.
about
Stop streaming check. Box check.
immediately, we will come on. We'll do another stream. If you're wondering about any kind of information as far as when is there going to be another more programming happening or a sneak peek happening, Andy will regularly do blogs, and so if he decides that okay, I'm back to full scale programming, I'm sure he's going to do a podcast or a blog and say, hey guys, we're going to start doing this, or we're going to start programming. And he might have what I'm saying. Just follow the blog, because if he don't tell you there, he'll tell you on one of these just random live streams that we have, or on the group he'll tell you, or on WhatsApp he'll tell you. Um, so just pay attention to all these. It's important to follow all of it. The WhatsApp, the the blog, all that stuff. So try to follow it. But uh, I'm excited. I like the fact that we've got this source build. I like the fact of being able to do it myself. Because like Andy said, I don't got to wait
yeah.
for him to do all this extra work that he really don't want to do, but does it because he's being a good guy, being a buddy. Uh, we don't got to worry about that no more. He can just say, hey man, let's do a sneak peek tomorrow. I'm gonna throw some stuff up there in the morning, so go push it tomorrow, grab it and build it. Okay, man, I'll do that. Build it, bam, it's done.
And in the
So
event that something stupid goes wrong and it doesn't take a lot to fix it, I can fix it on my end, push it up there. He can pull it back down and have it done in 2 minutes. I
yeah,
mean, the whole process from my
exactly.
computer to his computer in an executable in 2
I mean,
minutes.
my gosh, we could be live doing something and get the program running. All of a sudden, we're like, oh man,
Yep,
why ain't that working? Instead of
yep.
even dropping the live stream, we'll just talk to you for a minute and be like,
You
okay,
know,
hold on a second. And he'd just be like, okay, John, grab it, bam, boom, load it,
and, uh,
done.
here's not, I'm not guaranteeing this,
Stop streaming check. Box
but
check.
it has happened once or twice. And it makes this thing a little
Rook
bit
Talon.
easier. So
I
let's
did it.
say, I don't know, let's say we're doing a sneak peek or we're just hanging out on a live stream and John says, or one of you guys say, it would be really cool if we could blank.
Rook Talon.
Well, let's say in my sneaky
It
little
works like a
brain,
charm.
it takes maybe
What's some
all
brief?
but 5 minutes. to put this thing into place, and I just sneak it up into there and say, go get the newest build. Well, how talking about how hot off the press can you get? I mean,
Right, right. Brooktown said, I got it done. This works like a charm.
oh,
But
cool, dude.
what is SimBrief?
What is SimBrief?
I mean, that's where you build all your flight plans.
Yeah, SimBrief is the website you go to, or if you use SimToolkit Pro, connects with SimBrief to build your flight
Oh, I
plans.
know why you're asking. You're hearing TFM say
Oh,
something about
TM says,
SimBrief. I
yeah, it
bet you.
says SimBrief plan not loaded.
Yeah, don't mess with that. That's not fully supported yet.
That does not work yet. It's seriously and severely busted.
I like the way you. I don't hear you say that very often. Seriously. Yeah.
Seriously and severely busted, yep.
Seriously and severely. That's bad. That's like saying, man, that's it's not just seriously busted. It is seriously severely busted. Oh, that's great. But guys, that's what we got. Um,
Start record. Stop streaming.
I'm going to talk
Start
with
record. Stop
Andy
streaming.
here for a few minutes when I end the live stream, but I got to do a couple things. I can't do it with you guys on live stream. I wouldn't want to give out my account
Rook
information.
Talon.
So,
Totally cool.
No,
Do I have to
that's not
follow
a good
step like
idea.
14 to 17 to update my build occasionally or?
let me see what he said real quick. That was
Top 79 point overview DVR restream chat column 3 restream
let's see what he
button set
said.
button TFF graphic button clickable type clickable menu totally 011 button Rook Talon button 0 totally cool. I have to follow step like 4 cool.
Okay,
2.
totally
I
cool.
have to follow step like 14
Do I have to follow step like
dash
14
17 to update
17
my build occasionally
to update my
or
build occasionally?
clickable out of menu button clickable type of out of edit clickable menu button sub menu space out of menu button more clickable
Or
menu button sub menu clickable type of message edit
that was it.
clickable menu button sub menu totally cool. I have to follow step like 14 17
I'm not sure
I don't
what
know
you
what.
mean by step.
cool.
Yeah, I
2.
don't
I have to
know
follow
what
step
he means
like
either.
14
I don't know what you mean by step like
dash
14
17 to
17
update my
to
build
update
occasionally
my
or
build occasionally.
Um,
I don't know what you're talking about, bub.
let me see.
Step 4. Hold on one second. Andy's looking or thinking or looking.
I'm
He's
looking.
doing something.
Rook Talon.
Let me see.
In the guide of how to do the source
Oh,
build.
in the guide of how to do the source build, 14 and 7. So
Let me see.
he's looking
What?
at the guide is where he's at, Andy.
Huh?
He said it's in the guide, step 14
Through
17.
17.
Rook or Rook Talon button space out of button Rook or occasion build my update to 17 dash 14 dash
14
17
17
to update my build
to update my build occasionally.
Yeah, hold on, I'm looking.
He's looking at it now, Brooke. Stand by. Good thing you asked that because we were getting ready to end this. Josh, you can pop in if you're still with us. You're welcome to say hello. Or if you got a question about the source build, you can, being you're here on the server.
Yeah, no, hi
Oh.
everybody. No, I don't really have a question. I need to grab the latest build, but no, I don't really have a question about it.
Yeah, okay, hold on
Okay.
a minute. Okay, so in reference to steps 14 through 17, you would have to do 14, 15, you would not need to do 16 if you created the shortcut that it talks about. Otherwise, you would have to do 16. And 17 you would have to do if you wanted to run it from source. So 14 and 15 you have to do if you're going to run from source.
What exactly
16.
is he asking? What is 14?
Okay, so 14 through 17. So 14 it says once TFM is loaded into Visual Studio, give at least a minute for it to download required components. You would need to do that.
Yeah.
15. Once done, press Control Shift B as in Bravo to build TFM. You would need to do that.
Yep.
16 says find the tfm.exe file
Oh,
and it
create the
gives you the
shortcut. Yeah.
provided folder, and it says create the shortcut on your desktop. So in 16, you would need to only do that once if you created the shortcut. Otherwise, if you've created the shortcut for it during the first time you've built it, you can skip straight to 17, which says activate the shortcut on your desktop to run TFM from source build. So 14, 15, and 17 are mandatory every time you want to build and run from source. 16 is only required if you don't want to use the desktop icon that it talks about.
So every time, what he's saying, basically, if you, when you uh, do what we were just showing, how we was doing that, and how you open up Visual Studio. Every time you do that, if you already got the shortcut, you don't got to keep on going back in
Yeah,
there and
no,
making the new one.
if you have the shortcut on your desktop, after you do Control Shift B, then all you have to do is close Visual Studio and run it from the desktop icon.
Because it's always going to be inside that GitHub
Yeah, it's
directory that
always
you made.
yeah, it'll always be inside of that
I can't think of a
folder.
reason why you would need to create that again, like, inside of
No,
the.
you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't have to create it over and over and over and over again.
Right. I think maybe what was, from reading some other comments earlier, I think what might have threw them off is from where I had so many different ones uh, in the folder.
Uh,
But that was because there was all different ones. They were different source builds, and each time I
those were
get a new one.
builds.
Yeah,
Yeah, those were builds that we did over the years from sneak peeks.
yeah. That's why you've seen so many different ones that I had. But now I don't got to do that. I only need the one. I don't have to
Right,
have a directory with 10 different uh, TFM folders with different versions. So,
right, right.
um, again, guys, I'm glad you guys was here. It definitely helps when you guys are here asking questions, because if we don't get no one asking questions, then we can't point out some of these things that need to be pointed out. So, Brooke, Robert, and everybody else besides Kev that came on very. I don't know if you're the Kev. I think you are. Surely not. Uh, we guys, come on. Y'all know how we do it. We're polite. We're generous. We are good to everybody, but we don't tolerate rudeness, and we don't tolerate someone getting upset because they feel like they got to go
Brooke
to
Talon,
2020.
thanks so much.
Um, I've never, ever, ever on a live stream, and I don't know where you heard me or Andy or anybody ever say delete P3D and go to 2020. It's
Nope,
never happened.
the blog doesn't even say that.
No. Now, do I like 2020? 100%. But guys, go back and look how many times that I was saying, man, I'm not going to 2020 right now. You know, I stayed on P3D for a long time. So did Andy. We were very, 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 very edgy about going to
P3D
2020.
diehards.
Yeah,
Yep.
because we're just like, no, I'm not
Brooke
dealing with
Talon,
that crap.
so run git,
But
fetch the new thing, run vs, and build again and you're decent?
yeah, so you just open GitHub, do your uh, push, close it,
Do your do your fetch, close it,
open
go to
Visual
Visual
Studio,
Studio.
Control
Yeah.
Shift B, wait for it to say it's done, close it, run it. That's it.
Yeah.
You're done. So
Any bugs? GitHub repository for bugs
yeah,
and new
yeah.
feature
If there is
requests.
bugs, you got to put them there. You know, you got to let him know there's a bug, because if you don't let him know, then It's not like the bug happened and they see that you got that bug.
Rook Talon.
They don't see it
Wow, that is easy.
unless you tell them that it's there. I mean, they see bugs, but they're not going to see a bug that you might see unless you tell them that it's there. So,
Yep.
y'all seen how easy it was? Brooke left for about, I don't know, half an hour, 20 minutes, came back. He's got it running that quick.
Yep.
So that should be a good example of it's really not that bad. Guys, before I disconnect, I will be doing a flight a little bit later. I don't know how long, but just keep your eyes and ears peeled. And I'm sure me and Andy will be doing another live stream at some point. We always come up with something to talk about. So
Yeah.
always
And
something.
before we go, we actually
Yay.
had a live
I look
visitor.
forward to
Josh,
your
you
flights.
can come back if you're still around.
Ops
Ask
29,
your
Ops 29.
question.
You got any questions, Josh? Before we
No, I don't have a question. I was just stating that I need to grab the latest source build.
Oh, okay.
okay. Now,
Yeah,
Josh,
yeah.
have you been doing source build for a while, or you just start?
I've been doing it for a while, like long before this code refactoring, basically. But then I got out of it for a while. Now I'm gonna come back to it because everything's changing. So
Yeah, rapidly changing. That's why it's so important for you guys out there. Do this if you can do it. Look, I don't know anything about programming, and I don't even need to know about programming. And you know, here I am doing it. It's not that bad. It's really not. So
Yep. I know of at least 4 people, maybe 5 now,
Ops 29,
including
wait,
Brooke, that
Stop recording,
probably
stop
and
streaming,
most
checkbox checked.
likely doesn't know much about coding, if anything,
Stop recording,
that's
checkbox not checked. Stop
successfully
streaming, checkbox checked.
building.
yeah. So guys, highly encouraged to just do it. Even if you do it, you try it, and you're just like, man, I don't like doing this. Okay, well at least you tried it. But I can almost guarantee you, as soon as you try it and you see how easy it is, as long as here's the thing, if you set everything up the right way, it'll be simple. You'll know if you didn't, because if you don't set it up the right way, you're gonna know. You will know very quickly. You're gonna know that it ain't working. So
Yeah.
the cool thing is this: you push a new one, you close it, you load Visual Studio, you build it, then you run TFM. You can go right down to the system tray, and it's going to say waiting for connection. If it says that, you know that it's good.
If it says waiting for connection, or if it says connected to, and gives you a simulator version, then you know it worked.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
it'll do either one or the other.
And I'll probably fly with the latest that I built. I mean, there's nothing new to it as far as that I'm going to
No,
see flying,
there's
but
not. No, there really isn't anything other than
it'll probably be like, is it going to be like, is it going to
Home,
act
items, new
like,
list, desktop, row 1, music, row 2, 5 of 30. Run
I don't
dialogue,
think
notepad,
it knows.
documents, documents,
Let me
select.
go to it so I can
Documents,
see it.
items, TFM files 11, items, new list, TFM 20, TFM
it'll be
23.9
like
alpha
the
7 3 of 8.
last one that you had.
FSO next performance with TFM 23.9 alpha 7 3 of 8.
The Alpha 7?
Yeah, it'll be similar enough to that. Startup and connection routines are a little bit different, but you shouldn't really notice anything because it's all internal.
Right.
You know, it does some safety and sanity checks, and it removes the timeout issue that people have been having where it says
TFM files.
there would be, if you started it and
Oh,
lost your
TFM files.
connection
Home,
to a
items, new list, quick access.
simulator or never
Ops
had
29,
one, it'll
29.1.
say connection timed
do you
out,
know how
check the
many
logs.
emails? And I'm not even the developer of TFM. How many emails that I've received at the 737 flights? TFM keeps saying timeout. Well, then stop being a bad boy and go to the corner. No, no, it's just a bug, you guys. Trust me, I get it all the time. After a while, you just get
Wow.
used to it and you pay no attention to it.
Wow, in for those who are deciding to now switch over to try source builds, those who can get it up and running, there will no longer be a timeout.
I'm so glad I'm doing source build now.
And the nice thing is if TFM doesn't find a simulator to connect to, it will sit there and happily wait forever.
Yeah, because before it didn't
Nice thing
say waiting
about
for connection, did it? Before it just
nice,
wouldn't work.
yeah,
No,
nice thing about
before it
this
would just,
change.
yeah, before it would start up, it would wait 30 seconds. If it didn't find anything, then it would crap out on you.
Yeah. So like
Now
right
it'll,
now, you
Top
guys,
29.1 point. Folder
and
view
I'll
list.
now
do
it'll
it.
just,
TFM source build 29 of 29
I'm
of
gonna hit
29.
now
enter
it'll
on
just,
source build.
Sim market 12 TFM source build 29 of 29.
now it'll just happily sit there and wait and forever until
Explorer.
it finds
Main
something
menu.
to connect to,
Start top search with AI
and then
text
it
view
will
toggle button update key support
automatically
system button page
connect
show
once
icon
it
size button.
finds
Show
something
icon.
useful.
Now
Talking flight monitor
look,
MDIDA says talking flight monitor waiting for connection. Button
talking
11.
flight monitor waiting for connection. Now when I do the flight later that I'm telling you guys I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave that right there
MDI
where
talking
it
flight monitor
is.
waiting for connection.
Talking
Button
flight
11.
monitor waiting for the connection. It's not gonna matter
Now,
if I wait 20, 30 minutes.
you can leave it sit there all night. It'll still sit there and be ready for you tomorrow morning. Now, here's
Ops
the
29.1.3 profile.
gotcha
Folder view
about
list. TFM source.
source
Overview
builds.
VDI pilots. Ops 29.
Part of
Ops 29.
this is working like a dream come true. Part of it is, what's my favorite phrase? Seriously and severely busted.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you press the right bracket or the left bracket key, what will it tell you? Not connected to simulator.
Right.
So that part is not, that part is still the old style stuff. And believe me, there's going to be some new style stuff that nobody's going to be used to yet
Well, like right now, if I
coming
hit
up.
it,
Start recording. Stop streaming. Checkbox checked. Review B3.
I
Folder
was
view list.
on the.
Restream chat row 1.
It's
Oh,
okay.
folder view list.
They'll refresh. We'll be
Not
good.
connected to simulator. Not connected to
But
simulator.
yeah, when you hit the thing, it just says not connected. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's something coming up. I don't know when, but there is going to be something coming up during our reorganizing point where no one has ever seen it before. It's going to be so new and so different. It's going to have to be a get used to kind of thing. So, just a bug in your ear. I can't talk about it
Right.
until later, but suffice it to say that it will fix that problem and a whole ton of others.
Nice.
But
Nice.
this is a small little gotcha about source code. You know, the sitting on the system tray and waiting forever is a good happy thing. The not connected when you hit the left or right bracket is not so much of a happy thing still. So,
But
no,
it
it's
could
just
be way
something.
worse than what it is right now, though.
Yeah, it's just something you have to live with. I mean, it's not any different than any of the other TFM. Even the official release does it. The difference being is this one doesn't time out on you.
Yeah. And that's, to me, I
Because the
mean,
worst thing about the other one is it would time out on you, but then it would also say not connected.
yeah.
Because it's not like it would just totally shut down on you and say, okay, well, when you're ready, then start it up again. It would
Right.
just be sitting in some half-baked limbo state somewhere.
Yeah.
But after a point here, that's gonna change.
And the nice thing is,
Those who follow the source builds can keep up on it as it happens.
yep. Yep. So that
And
makes that
put in
nice.
feature requests and bug reports early.
Yeah. That's nice. That is nice. So there you have it, guys. Um, again, it was fun being here with you, Andy. Always good doing stream with you.
Oh
Glad
yeah.
you're glad you're getting better, my friend, with your foot thing
Explorer.
going on. I know that's
Overview VDI pilot simmers community. Overview. Restream chat. Ops 29. Ops
that's a
20.
pain in the butt.
Start recording. Stop streaming. Checkbox checked.
But anyways, guys, yeah. By the way, I I was on OBS when I tried to hit right bracket, and that is a hotkey apparently. So that's
Oh.
yes. So that's where they had to do a little refresh there at the end. But either way, It was good being here, Andy. And guys, we'll keep you updated if anything changes. We'll let you know. Even if I'm just doing a stream and there's a little update, Andy might say, hey, while you're streaming, John, let them know about this. Or he might even pop on the stream like he's been known to do before. So
It
either way, you'll stay updated one way or the other. So y'all take care. Be sure to tap on the subscribe button if you're not joined us here yet to BVI Pilots. Always glad to have you. Share with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or any other social site that you might be a part of. Until next time, my friends, have a good day. Stay safe.